Well, hi, Michelle. I've already made some comments on your assignment 3, so I think I'll focus on assignment 2 here. I like the array of objects you've selected. Um, when I take a look at the jugs, it seems as though the one on the left is seated on ground in a manner that's a little more believable. I'm wondering about the leg of what looks like a lap desk there at the left behind the bottles. Would that form that these smaller boxes sit on be symmetrical, and should it have a leg on left like the one on right? Now notice that this assignment asks for your subjects to be just a little bit below eye level. There are a couple of things that make me think that you might be standing here um, in a position where you're quite a lot above the subject. First of all, because the images are so low on the page, and um, second, because of the amount of the top of the boxes that we're seeing. Hi Bob, this is a good selection of subjects for assignment 2, but there's something I want to talk about here with both of these drawings. They are not properly scanned. I want you to scan using full color. You should come up with something that looks like what you see your classmates showing here. So full color scan, and then if you need to get rid of any color cast, image mode grayscale in Photoshop. So I wouldn't mind seeing both of these scanned or photoed again so that we get a better idea of what they really do look like. I observe that there is a quality of outlining here, and I want you to work to create drawings that are built of shapes of value with no line that stands alone. And I'm going to refer you to my drafts reviews for week 2 because I talk a lot about that there. Now, your second drawing looks kind of whimsical. It appears that these are toys, and they're not objects that are easy to draw. Hi, Amanda. I appreciate the variety of still life subjects that you've used in both of these drawings. In the first one, I'm just wondering whether those bottles may be transparent glass or transparent plastic. It's just about the same. Notice that the assignment was asking for opaque subjects, and I know sometimes it's hard to find just what's being asked for, but there's a rationale to it. Transparent subjects will have a lot of reflections that can be difficult to manage, and we'd rather have you draw just what you see versus approximated. Now, with regard to drawing bottles, I'd like you to take a look at page 29 in Duranis' book and observe how he's suggesting drawing a vertical axis so that you can better manage the symmetrical quality of the bottle. He also talks about making a rough sketch where you actually fold the paper on that axis line and trace the second half. Then open the paper up, you could place it on a window, and trace that onto your final page for your finished drawing. Now, looking at your second drawing, I think that bottle that's laying down could use this treatment I'm speaking about. Also, I want to encourage you to pay more attention to light and shadow falling over form versus the coloration of the forms, like that dark edge on this bottle's label. I'm looking at this shadowing and I'm wondering whether it might have been applied in Photoshop, which is not what we're looking for here. Hi Mason, I appreciate how you've used some of the same subjects in both drawings, and that makes this like a mini series. Now, I'm looking at the scale of your signature here, which is suggesting to me that you're working on a small page, and if there's any way for you to work on an 18 by 24 page, I heartily recommend that. I think you need the elbow space in order to do your best work. Now, I want to get back to that idea of starting such a drawing with a gesture drawing, and you're told to do that in assignment 2. Seems to me that you're working with a line sketch for starters versus a gesture drawing, and that is keeping you clinging to line. I want you to take a look at what I'm saying in the draft reviews for this week. So they have some ideas about how you can move beyond that strong quality of outlining. One little thing that I'm appreciating here is the salt shaker and the shadow that it casts in the foreground of the drawing on the right. Um, a thought about the tablecloth on that drawing, you might like to try different shading methods. For instance, take a look at that telephone cord method that I'm pointing out in one of the drafts reviews. Well, hi Mason. Something I'm responding to here is the fact that you've used the same still life objects in both drawings, and that's making them seem like a set. Something else that I noticed right away is the size of your signature, which is suggesting to me that your page is a small one, and that's acceptable. However, I urge you to draw on a larger scale. 18 by 24 inches is a standard size. Now, in my drafts reviews this past week, I've asked people to let up on outlining. I think a big key there is to start with a gesture drawing versus a line drawing. And I want you to make yourself practice that. It's not going to feel comfortable, but then you're in class here to learn and to push yourself beyond what is your comfort zone. When I take a look at the way that the tablecloth's been portrayed in the second drawing, it makes me think that perhaps you want to refine your shading or shadowing technique. Take a look at that short little video clip where I'm demonstrating what I call a telephone cord method of shading. Hi Kim, I can see that you like to put a lot of detail into your drawings. There's great care invested here. My view is when an assignment asks you to draw 7 things, that's kind of a lot. So I think I'd leave it at that. I wouldn't push it and add more than 7. Um, you know, One thing that I was talking about with one of your classmates here is the idea of light and shadow falling over form as being more important than drawing details or graphic patterns on your subjects. So I'd also like you to concentrate on seeing the light and shadow more so than the details, such as dots on the dice or stripes on the airplane. You need to work on perspective, and I think something that's going to help you is this sighting method that shows the angle in relation to a clock face. So please take a look at my announcement and the link I make to a site that talks about that there. Hi Joanne, both of these drawings are very ambitious, and the one on the left values work for you to a greater extent. And what I'm thinking is the subjects in the drawing on the right are glass. And glass can be extremely hard to portray realistically because of all the reflections. So observe how in assignment 2 you were asked to select objects that weren't glass. And while it didn't state that in assignment 3, it does complicate matters. I want you to also think about a ground plane with the assignment 3 drawing. We should see the far edge of the table that these objects sit on, and they should also cast shadows upon the table. Well, hi Lisa, I think I've reviewed this very version in a draft review, so I'm going to refer you to that. Hi Chris, nice job selecting suitable subjects for your still lives. Looking at the drawing on the left, maybe it's not finished. A couple of ideas there. First, I wouldn't put a significant subject right on the edge of the composition. Second, generally, I'll try to work from the center outward so that there is a sort of core of the drawing that's materialized. That lets me be able to quit at most any point, and the drawing seems to be somehow coherent, if not entirely finished. And I'm just wondering if this method of shading is kind of time consuming and if that may have kept you from finishing out the composition. The second drawing is just lovely. I would suggest putting some indication of the table down, for instance the rear edge of the table. What would it be like if one of the candles was lit? Maybe both of these drawings are not straight. I'm thinking this is something that you could adjust in Photoshop. Hello Nina, I can see that a lot of care has gone into the making of this drawing. Still, I want to urge you to observe your subjects very closely and take note of how light and shadow fall over the forms.